Hello, everyone. Eric Lima here. You are watching my YouTube vlog in which my sentimental thoughts come from the heart and mental oddball shenanigans come from the brain. It's EML77 TV, episode 689. Got some huge news coming out from people.com here. And this article is made by Georgia Slater and has to do with one of the most popular restaurants for kids all over for kids all over America, and for for folks like me who remember the store, who remember this restaurant back in the day. Um, as you know, with the pandemic, there's been a lot of businesses that had to close down during this time, and and a lot of restaurants had to close too, unfortunately. And there are rumors that a lot of restaurants and stores may never recover from this from the pandemic, as we saw Pier One Imports is done. Maybe, unfortunately, this restaurant here may follow suit. Chuck E. Cheese approaches bankruptcy and could have to close all stores. And the popular children's restaurant is nearly $1 billion in debt, and the Wall Street Journal reported. After months of keeping their doors shut amid the coronavirus pandemic, the popular kids restaurant Chuck E. Cheese may not ever reopen. The brand behind the food and games establishment CEC Entertainment is nearly $1 billion in debt and trying to approach lenders for a $200 million loan to keep the business afloat, according to the Wall Street Journal. On Friday, the brand announced that it would be offering its top executives retention bonuses with the hopes that they would stay on in trying times. CEC said it would pay nearly $3 million total to three executives, including $1.3 million to CEO David McKillips, the Securities and Exchange Commission filing showed. And the Texas-based restaurant currently operates 610 locations, 47 states, but had to close its stores when the pandemic struck, making it extremely difficult for the company to raise capital. In April, the brand said they were considering refinancing bankruptcy and restructuring after the pandemic began to cause strain on the restaurant industry, the WSJ reported. So, according to the takeout, some 17,000 workers were laid off in March. In an attempt to make money during the pandemic, the store masqueraded as Pasquale's Pizza and Wings on delivery apps, a reference to one of Chuck E. Cheese's bandmates. Employers who were kept on board to operate Pasquale's as a takeout brand. But Chuck E. Cheese is not the only restaurant chain to struggle amid the global health crisis. Some outposts of IHOP, Denny's, Ruby Tuesday, TGI Fridays, and more have permanently shuttered due to hardships brought on by the pandemic. CFRA Holdings, a franchisee of operating 49 IHOP locations, filed for bankruptcy in early May, cited coronavirus as the primary reason, according to FSR magazine. Aziz Hashim, the founder and managing partner of Ruby Tuesday owner NRD Capital, told restaurant business the pandemic will likely spur the closure of many more restaurants. A Denny's franchisee, Feast American Dinners, closed 15 locations of the popular breakfast chain, while locations of the Indianapolis-based chain Steak and Shake and of TGI Fridays also closed down permanently due in part of the pandemic. Now, I'm looking back at this awesome restaurant. I mean, I remember going to as I first went to Chuck E. Cheese when I was a kid. When I was a kid, my cousin Tiffany had a birthday. I think she was turning 10, I believe, at the time. And I remember my aunt and uncle, along with my cousin Tiffany, and then my other cousin Bree was like one or two. I forget now. When we all went to Chuck E. Cheese, and at first we went to the Harbor because there was a Chuck E. Cheese in Fall River. That's how I know about Chuck E. Cheese. Went to went to the Harbor Mall in Fall River because everybody thought it was inside the mall in Fall River. We went inside. It was a Kmart there. I didn't know it was a Kmart inside a mall. I thought it was across the street from our mall, the Dartmouth Mall. We went in. We couldn't find it there, and we found out it was across the street from the Harbor Mall. So we went there, and we went there, ate some pizza, played some video games, and video games were huge. The arcade was huge at Chuck E. Cheese back in the day, man. And I was kind of like, I hope we get a location here, and we did in Dartmouth. But unfortunately, the one in Dartmouth is not the one that we had, like the one in Fall River at the time. So, and I went there about 2 or 3 times. I went for a few times for birthday parties and such, and I had a great time. So, I'm very sad about this. This was a very, very sad, um, sad thing to read, and obviously, unfortunately, unfortunately this is this is going to happen because um, of the pandemic, and you lose a lot of money when even a couple of months, it could cost, it could cost in the end, not just um, establishments like restaurants, you know, retail establishments, Pier One Imports was gone for good, but thankfully, J.C. Penney at the Dartmouth Mall is going to still stand. We have lost a lot of stores. This last decade has been has been the very has been a very, very rough decade for retails and restaurants in business like that, especially old school stores. And I just could not, I honestly cannot believe that this was even happening. And it is a sad, it's a sad tale to tell. And I am very, very, I mean, it doesn't surprise me this was going to happen. You had a feeling this was going to happen. And a lot of things is just, this was one of my favorite restaurants to go to for birthday parties and such, and play video games and have a good time. What else can you do that besides Dave and Buster's? I remember going to Dave and Buster's with my brother, with my two brothers, and a friend of theirs, and a friend of my brother's, and I played a little bit of Donkey Kong Arcade. So I thought it was totally cool that they get to do. I had to do that, and that was 10 years ago that happened. So it is. I'll tell you what, it is surreal that a lot of our favorite stores, a lot of our favorite retail stores have now are gone, especially this one here, Kmart. And it's amazing, how things change, and we have to remember that we have another generation, growing. We have another generation now, which is just mm, you know it's we have a next generation who don't understand and don't know what we adults have grown up with and what we've gone through. And it's amazing that times have changed. I mean, look at the video games. I mean, video games have changed. I mean, started off in the '70s with Atari, and then now we have these advanced systems. The Xbox One, the PS5's coming out. Rumor about that. We have the Nintendo Switch, and but it is amazing. But sometimes, if they decide, if those systems decide to reveal downloadable arcade games that from the '80s and '90s, I'm all for it. That way you still connect with the arcades of old, and at the same time, it just at the arcades of old. Excuse me, my nose is a little bit itchy. It's hard to it's hard not to scratch your nose. You're trying to do this, and it is surreal at Chuck E. Cheese. I had a lot of great memories. That's why I first saw Kid Nicky Radical Ninja the arcade, trying to learn how to play it, and I keep dying in the first level. And Super Mario Brothers, same thing with that one. Even though Super Mario Brothers, I was introduced to it back in '85, '86 at the local Hot Wheels here in New Bedford. And like I say, I miss the '80s and '90s. This is one of the reasons why. And all these stores are closing down. It's like, I kind of wish I had a DeLorean with a flux capacitor to give me a half drunk beer can with a banana peel, stick it into a flux capacitor with 1.21 gigawatts, and head back to the '80s and '90s. Ironically, when Marty McFly went back in time, from '85 to '55, you're talking about 30 years ago. I want to travel 40 years ago, and imagine, and sometimes you get, you're looking around, and you know, imagine people just look at you funny if you go travel back in time. Yeah, so I'm kind of curious to see what will happen, and since I'm going back to work Monday, and after I get out Monday of work, I'm gonna drive around to see. Take pictures of the Chuck E. Cheese one in Dartmouth. That way, you know, it'll only be a matter of time when that closes down. And once it does, will a lot of these stores at the mall be gone by the time we You know, by the time the year ends, and that's the main concern because who knows? Christmas won't be the same again. That's for sure. And a lot of things are going to happen in the future, and it's not going to be the same. Place that we know and love anymore. And just it's something that you know hey, it's life and all that, and it's that's that. It is what it is, and you can't change the past, unfortunately, and you can't go back to it, and and that's what sucks. Like you want to go back to the past and fix everything, and hopefully the future would change. A lot of people will probably think, well, I wish Donald Trump wasn't president of the United States. Unfortunately, he is. Unfortunately for a lot of folks, he is, and people say, I wish Bill Clinton wasn't president, or Obama wasn't president, or George Bush or Ronald Reagan. What if we didn't have any politicians, And so, like, what ifs and I wishes and all that good stuff. But what can you do? It's real life. God plans it in the way it is, and sometimes things like this happen. Chuck E. Cheese, man, I'm going to miss Chuck E. Cheese if that's the case, because I'll tell you one thing: if they're closing all the stores, you know, I am very sorry for those employees that worked at Chuck E. Cheese. And I did a Twitter. I twittered Chuck E. Cheese that one guy was wearing a Chuck E. Cheese mask and has no clothes underneath. I don't know if he's work. I don't know if he works for the brand or what, but he shouldn't be doing something like that. So it was really sad. So um, you know, it's really awful. So I'm hoping those employees get back on their feet and get a new job and whatnot. And so it is a sad, sad day. Chuck E. Cheese is going to go down as another vintage place of the past from me, and to all the kids that well. And plus, I think a lot to the arcades too is that all nowadays most of the arcade games you can download them and play them on the thing, and play them on your Raspberry Pi 3, download them ROMs and emulators, ROM emulators, and then it is a sad and that's another reason why too Chuck E. Cheese may be hurting is because of that reason too. So unfortunately, that's how it is. So um, I'll tell you what, it is not going to be very easy to recover from the pandemic. It's not going to be very easy to adjust to the new things from the pandemic. And it's a sad tale, but it is what it is, Can't change it, you know. And I have to admit, I am very upset, but, what can you do? There's nothing you can do. Nothing we all can do. I kind of wish, but you wish you ate a fish, that's for sure. So I want to thank, I want to thank the folks over at Chuck E. Cheese for making my childhood great by going there and having a great time with my cousins and everything else. And it is a sad sad day when Chuck E. Cheese is gone. And Chuck E. Cheese where a kid can be a kid, man. I should remember, in the Fall River version, they had the band, the mechanical band playing and all that, and they had a little tunnel underneath that you could just crawl in and just you could play hide and seek in there and just or you can just stay, sit there and just while everybody else is crawling, and if you're having a bad day or something and trying to but oh, no, I thought it was really crazy. I'm like, this is just insane. So there's no more Chuck E. Cheese in Fall River though. So so it is just a sad day, and I kind of felt bad. So that's the way it is. Oh, I'm moving over here that way. So that's it. That's all the time we have on this show. Episode 689 complete. Possibly rest in peace, Chuck E. Cheese. And again, thank you for the folks at Chuck E. Cheese, Nolan Bushnell, who founded Chuck E. Cheese. Thank you so much. And he founded Atari too. So you're talking about pizza and video games at the same time. How cool is that? The 80s were just That's why I think personally, I think the decade of the 80s is a whole lot better. Trust me on this one. All right, I'll see you guys later. You guys have a wonderful day, and God's blessings to all of you. And we'll see you on the next episode of 690. Okay, see ya. Bye.